Sussex opener Luke Wells responded well to Warwickshire's healthy first innings total on the second day of the LV County Championship match at the Brighton and Hove Jobs.com county ground. The home side made a terrific start to the second day, which began with Warwickshire on 276 for 4 and Jonathan Trott closing in on another 100. He'd started the day on 87, but having added 9 more, he feathered a ball from Chris Jordan behind. Jordan had taken 2 wickets late on the previous evening, and he now made it 4 in the innings by also catching the edge of Tim Ambrose's bat as he went for a duck. From the safe position of 272 for 2 before Jordan started to work his magic, Warwickshire now found themselves on 292 for 6, and there was work to be done for them to make the imposing first innings score that they would have expected. Chris Woakes, however, hadn't given up hope of achieving that, and he got moving quickly by launching Monty Panesar for a maximum. Sussex, though, was still having a good morning when Laurie Evans was bowled on the sweep to Panesar to leave his side on 329 for 7. Over the last couple of seasons, someone like Ricky Clark would have been in by now, but with him out injured, the job of scoring runs low down was left to Tom Milnes, who struggled at times at the start of what eventually became a very valuable innings from him. Although he has only played a handful of first-class games, this is his 8th. Milnes' previous best score in the championship was just 24, so Sussex would have felt fairly confident of getting him out before too long, in spite of him showing his skills with a couple of fine shots prior to lunch, which kept the Sussex attack at bay. But that home attack were instead made to wait for their next success, as this 8th wicket partnership started to become frustrating for them. Ed Joyce tried everything to break through, but both Milnes and Woakes stood firm, the former making his championship best in the process. Woakes has again started this season well, and this boundary took him to his second 50 of the summer. By the end of this innings, only Baron Chopper has scored more championship runs this summer than Woakes, who needed 79 balls for his 50. That was his 7th 4. He celebrated that with another boundary, as his stand with Milnes went into 3 figures in what had really been a stop-start effort from Warwickshire. Milnes had his eye on a maiden championship 50, but he lost 2 stumps to James Anyon. He was gone for 42, but had put his side back into a good position on 432 for 8. The other 2 wickets fell in the next 5 overs. Woakes on 72 was bowled on the charge by Panesar, while Boyd Rankin gave Matt Pryor his 6th catch behind the stumps as Anyon claimed his 3rd wicket. After 145 overs, Warwickshire were at last all out for 453. So coming out to bat, the Sussex openers had some work to do. 304 was their first target to avoid the follow-on. But in Wells, they have a man in terrific early season form. He hit a career-best 208 in his last match at the Keir Oval, and he seemed to have just brought that form into this game as well. The Warwickshire attack had tried to learn from Jordan that if you bang the ball in, then you may be rewarded, but Wells seemed to know what was coming. As did Chris Nash. These two comfortably saw out the session up until tea, and then looked to advance their total after the break. The bowling was tidy enough, but was rarely threatening on what looks like a very good batting surface by the seaside. Indeed, Warwickshire's best chance of getting a wicket came when Nash took on the fielders. He didn't really look too hard as he eventually turned for his 3rd run and found himself in danger of being run out. He just about made his ground in the end, although some of the visiting fielders were convinced that he was in fact short of his ground. The partnership then continued and reached the 3-figure mark, the ideal response after spending 145 long overs in the field. Batting after such a long period of grazing is not always that easy, but these two had few problems in bringing up their century stand. Within that, Wells completed another proficient 50. He looks a very good player now he's been given a permanent spot at the top of the order, and this particular half-century came off 100 deliveries, 7 of which have brought him boundaries. The total stood at 108 when Nash was dismissed in a controversial fashion. The batsman was certainly not convinced that the ball wasn't grounded as it thumped into Will Porterfield's boot before rebounding rather kindly into the hands of Chopra. Nash, though, had to go for 43. Half an hour of the day remained, but Wells stood firm with Michael Yardy as Sussex ended proceedings handily placed on 129 for 1. That leaves them 324 runs behind, still needing another 175 to avoid the follow-on. But with Wells going well again on 76, Sussex will hope that doesn't cause a problem when play resumes on the third morning.